Hey folks, Dave here. I hope everybody's doing well today. I'm doing pretty good. So we need to make something else for Christmas. And I thought we'd try to make a sled. And then on top of that sled, we'll put a Christmas tree, a snowman, and a Merry Christmas. So we're going to start out by making what looks like some popsicle sticks. So just draw out a square and click on your selector tool. We're going to try to leave this in millimeters the whole time. Had some folks ask me, or at least say that it would be better if I would stick with 1 unit of measure throughout. And they're probably right. It'd probably help me get better with millimeters if I just stick with it. So you can let me know what you think in the comments. So we're going to make this a width of, let's go with about 6 millimeters. And then, now remember, you can scroll in and out with your mouse wheel. You can push down and move the entire canvas around. So now to make this look like a popsicle stick, let's grab a circle, hold down your shift key, and then make that circle fit. Not like that, do better than that. Control Z will take you back. You got to hold the shift key down to make it symmetrical, and then click your selector tool. Scroll in, and then try to set it where it looks right. And then duplicate it, put one on the other end, and then you can weld those one at a time. While that's selected, shift, select your stick, and then go over to the left and click weld. That takes care of one end, and while that's still selected, go back up, shift, select your other circle, and then click weld. Okay, now we have a popsicle stick. We're going to need 5 of those. So select it, go over to the left and click Array. And we're going to leave the spacing at 6 millimeter. And then up here you can change your number of columns. And we want 5 of these. So there we have 5. Click OK. And then we're going to resize these to look more sled-like. We'll make this center one a height of 101 millimeters. We'll make both of these side ones 94. Oh, I didn't do something right. 94. So this one will also be 94. These outside ones will be 88. Okay, so now we need to tie these together. So you can grab a square and just come across and might as well make that 6 millimeters as well. As far as the length, just make sure it touches on both sides. And then click your selector tool, duplicate it, pull it down, and then you want to grab all of these popsicle sticks and group them together. Don't group the other pieces yet. Group them in. Then grab these two. Select one, shift, select the other. Group those together. Then you can shift and select the rest of your piece. and then you can hit bullseye. And then there you go. So now you want to select the whole. We could have done this before, but and then select the other with a shift, and then you want to hit union because it crosses these open spaces. So union will get you something that looks like that. Okay, so now we have our base for the sled. Go over and grab a circle, and don't hold shift. Just kind of drag it out like this, and make sure it's at least the width of the base. Then click your selector tool. Then right click, convert to path. Go over to the left and click edit nodes. And we're not doing anything fancy. We're just going to, all of these are nodes, and you can shift this around and make some pretty crazy shapes. We're just going to grab this bottom one, pull this up a little bit, look something like that, and then click the selector. Okay, from here, you just want it to kind of touch that front one, and then we're going to center it. So leave it selected, shift, select the base, and then click vertical align. Now we'll add in some smaller pieces. So grab a square and go right here and just make a small piece like so. Make sure it touches this, the base and the front. And then click your selector. Then you want to duplicate this and put it on the other side. We're not going to weld it to the base yet because we need to duplicate it for the bottom. So while that is selected, then you can shift, select your front rail, then click weld. While it's still selected, you can shift, select your other extra piece, and click weld. Now we have what we need. So you can grab this, duplicate, drag it out, and then go up top to arrange, and you want to do a vertical flip. Now you can go back, you can select that, select the base, and then click weld. Then we can attach this one down here, make sure it touches in a similar fashion. You can select and center. Well, you want to do vertical, don't do center. Do vertical, and then it'll move it over. So then select each of them one at a time using shift, and then click weld. Okay, now we want to make our slots where we're going to place everything, and then we want to make a side rib. So you can just grab another circle and just drag it out something like this. Hit your selector key and make sure it is at least as long as your sled. So right click again, convert to path, go over to the left. We could have just saved one of them top pieces, but I figure if we do this a couple of times, it will help us in learning. Okay, so now you have that piece, and we kind of want to make it a little wavy on the end, so let's grab another circle, and I'm not measuring this, just drag it out, make it look kind of oblong like that. Click your selector tool, duplicate, and then drag it out and make it look kind of like that. So you have two oblong shapes. And you can resize these as we go to make sure that they're exactly what we need. So select your first one because you always have to select the one you're subtracting from first. Then Shift, select the second one you made, go over to the left and click Subtract. Now you have something that looks like that. And we're going to place that on the end. We're going to add it to it. But we need to get rid of this sharp point because it'll just won't cut right. So grab a square, just drag it out, doesn't matter what size. Drag it up and then select that piece, Shift, select the other piece, and click Subtract. So at least it's not quite as pointy now. And then we can bring it over here and shape this and make it fit where we want it. You can work with these two and get it to fit in there where it doesn't look strange. Get you a duplicate of it and hold it down here for this one. Select the main one. Select the homemade piece we have and then click Weld. And now you have something that looks like that. Not the prettiest sled rail, but it'll work. So this other one, you need to select, go up to Arrange, and do a vertical flip. So we're good. Thought I messed it up for a minute there. You mess up so much doing this, you expect to. Okay, and we'll leave that one there. And then you can select the rail, Shift, select our small piece, and then click Weld. And if you didn't want this to look too flat and ugly on the end, you could grab a circle, just draw out a little circle, stick that on the end of it, like so. Let's get a duplicate of it to use on the bottom. But you could work this around and make it not look so choppy on the end, like so. Select the rail, select our little egg shape, and then click Weld. And that looks a little bit better than being so choppy. And then do the other side. Like I said, if you know how to make a sled, let me know. Because I don't. I am just playing around and trying to learn how to use Lightburn and my laser at the same time, which I suspect is what all of you are doing. Okay, select the rail, select that piece, and click Weld. There we go. We're going to put some slots here. We're going to put some tabs here, and then we will duplicate this and put us one on the other side. Okay, so that's good right there. So for slots, grab a square and just drag out a slot. Be sure you're on the actual slots and not in between when you make your. I say this because I've done it. So we want to click the selector tool. We're going to give these a height of 10 millimeter and a width of 2.4. We're using 3 millimeter wood, some 3 millimeter basswood, and the 2.4 will make a slight adjustment for curve. All right, so just try to center this kind of on here, and we'll center it up a little more. Duplicate that, bring it down. You can duplicate and put this, well, Control Z, duplicate, and drag it out here. So this will be our Christmas tree stand. Duplicate again. This will be our snowman. And duplicate again. And this will be our little Merry Christmas sign. Now you can grab all three of these. Leave that one selected. Shift, select that one. Stay Shift, select that one. And then do a horizontal alignment. And it'll put them all together. Then you can Shift and select the entire piece there and do I'm hoping a bullseye. You cannot because I didn't group them together. All right, so back up with a Control Z. Let's do this right. Select, Shift, select, Shift, select. Group these three together. Then Shift, select your sled. Then hit bullseye. Okay, now we're centered. So now let's select this one. Shift, select this one. Group these together. And then Shift. And on this one, you need to hit a horizontal line. There you go. And always select the piece you want to move during the alignment. If you select the slot first and then the sled, the slots will move. If you select the sled first, then it'll move. Okay, so now we're straight there. So we want to duplicate this and bring it over here. And then we will select the sled and then we'll do another horizontal alignment and we're good. Now, we want to just grab everything and notice when you come from the right, you get a green line when you're selecting. And you only have to touch the items. You have to touch every item for it to select. If you come from the left, you can't do that. It'll only select the item that is completely encased in the red section. So you have to grab everything for it to select. So both of those have uses, and you'll figure it out as you learn. But it depends on what situation you're in and how many items you're trying to move at one time. Okay, so select them all, right click, and group. Okay, now we want to make some tabs to go here, but we want this to be centered on this. So we're going to pull it up and probably come away from it a little bit so it'll be up off the ground some. So select your skid, Shift, select the rest there, and then do a horizontal alignment. Now you want to grab a square, and we're just going to make this fit in there. So we should make it a height of 10 millimeters. Let me scroll in a little bit. And then if you get close, you can see your cursor will change. And then we can put this right up against that. So we know it's set where we want it to be. And you pull it down to there. All it has to do is touch so we can weld it. It won't weld over here. It's just going to weld here. Then you can duplicate that. Bring it down here and do the same thing. Your cursor changes, you get it lined up, it'll snap to that line. Now, while that's selected, you can shift, select your skid, and hit weld. While that's still selected, you can shift, select your tab, and hit weld. Now, we have this made, and then we can duplicate that, drag it over to the other side, go up to a range, and do a horizontal flip. Okay, so that is our sled. So now we're going to put some stuff on it. So Christmas tree. Now these are free vectors, and I'll put links to these down in the description so you can go out and get them. You can find some others you might like. And when anytime somebody tells you something is free, then do your own research and make sure. These are on the site that specifically say 100% free, but always be sure before you, certainly before you make something commercial with it. Okay, so we're going to make this tree, I think we'll go about half the size of the sled. That ought to work fine. So first, we got to have a base that can attach to the sled. So we're going to go over and do an offset of that. And we're going to make it an outward offset. You can see how it changes here. And then we're going to make it, let's make it about 2 millimeters to start with, see how that works out. Okay, so after you make your offset, you can drag your original out. And I think we probably should have left it at 5 or something a little larger. I'm going to back up. I'm going to go back to offset. We're going to try 3 because we want it to be kind of solid down here. If not, we'd have to draw some lines and then we could make it solid. If we can do it with this, we will. That looks pretty good. Okay, we're going to leave it at 3. So now we can drag this out, and you can set it for a score. So whatever you have for score, set it for that. And then over on the top right, when you do have a score, be sure to grab it and drag it above the cut line. If you don't, and you cut first, then it'll just make a mess, and you don't want that. Okay, so now we're going to fit this right here. And I probably should have kept one of those slots, but we'll just make another one. So grab a square, drag it out, and then we should probably flatten out this whole bottom. So grab it out, don't worry about how big it is, and just put it on the bottom here and kind of square that off a little bit. So it won't be quite as lumpy right there. Okay, make that a cut, and then select your backdrop, and then hit weld and put it there. That looks a little weird right there, but it doesn't matter. It'll be all right. So then grab another square, draw it out, get your selector tool. We want to make it a width of 10. And a height of 3. Because we know we have 3 millimeter wood, and this will just let it go through without sticking way through it. Now get close in. Select your tab, and then again get your cursor right on that edge, and then it'll snap to that straight edge. So that's why you wanted a straight edge. Then you can shift, select your tree, and do a vertical alignment, and it'll move that, and then you can just click weld, and there we go. We have that done. So our tree will set right on there, and it'll set on our sled and look pretty sweet. You can go ahead and group that together. Anytime you have more welding to do, if you group in your score first, it will, and then you weld something, it'll take on the score, and you'll end up having to back it out. So just don't group it in until you're done welding and making unions or whatever adjustments you're making. All right, now we're going to get a snowman. So again, this is free on the internet. Now when you have your vectors open up large, just grab it from the corner and it will resize proportionately. You don't want to have it odd shaped because you can grab it in a lot of ways. Now we just want to resize our snowman to make it smaller than the Christmas tree. That looks about right. Okay, so now we're going to do the same thing with the offset. We're going to go offset. 3 looks like way too much, so we'll try 1. See how that works. Pull out our original. Now when you do an offset like this, you can grab your backdrop, right click, ungroup, and then you can get rid of these pieces in the middle. So you can grab the outer edge like so, move it out of the way, highlight all of your junk pieces that you don't want, delete them, get them out of the way. Save you a lot of time. Now we need to flatten off the bottom of this just like we did with the Christmas tree. So grab a square and just bring it across and do whatever it takes to make that square on the bottom. Something like so. Then select your snowman backdrop and click weld, and there you go. So then we want to put a tab on that as well. So you drag it out, click select. So we're also going to make it a width of 10 millimeters and a height of 3. And we're going to scroll in. You can select just like before, get close in on it, snap it to your straight edge, shift, select the snowman, and do, okay, the reason that done that is because it took into consideration the entire snowman, not just the part we added. So sometimes you can draw out your square that you're going to make the straight edge with, do your tab and add it to the straight edge before you attach it. So you just have to make some judgment calls on that. So you can Control Z and get back, and then we can just leave that there, or you can try to straighten it up a little more, but I think it'll be all right. So select, shift, select your backdrop, and then click weld. Now you can go over, make your snowman a score, set him on the backdrop, and then you can group together. Now once you put your tabs on or you add your slots, you can't resize anymore without messing those up. So everything, you would have to grab everything together to resize, and even that is tricky. So now we want to do a Merry Christmas, and we'll make it a little smaller than the snowman. So let's go over and grab text, the text tool, go up and grab Academy Engraved. it does a good job. It shows up as engraved even when you use a score. And we'll just type this out and then we'll just resize it accordingly. So all caps, Merry, Enter, and Christmas. I know, almost misspelled it. I didn't say I was a good speller. So, all right. So we can bring this down like so. And then we're going to do a backdrop on it. So go over to your offset. And I'm going to make it larger so it'll touch. Watch how this moves accordingly so it'll come together. And you can judge that way. Okay, click OK. You can pull your Merry Christmas out. This may be good enough to put a tab on. So you want to select your backdrop, make it a cut. And we're going to have to straighten that bottom edge out. So just grab a square, straighten it out like so. Select your backdrop. Oh, Control Z. I didn't hit the selector tool. Shift, select your backdrop, and then click weld, and you have a straight edge. So now, and I know I could have saved these tabs and just used the same one over and over. That's all right. The more we do this, the better we will be at it. So we'll make it a width of 10 and a height of 3. Scroll in, grab the edge, and pop it up to the center. And maybe this will center. Shift, select, and do a vertical alignment. That looks pretty good. Now you can go over and click weld. Now, grab your Merry Christmas. You can pop it in there. Select it all and group. Okay, folks, I believe we just made a sled, and we will see how this looks. So let me. We're gonna, like I said, we're gonna cut this out on 3mm basswood plywood, and let me get set up in the laser. We'll cut it out and see how it looks. Okay, I'll be right back. Okay, folks, I believe we're ready to cut this out. And again, we're using 3mm basswood plywood. Okay, so I made the Merry Christmas sign way
bigger than it should have been. So I'm going to jump back into Lightburn, correct that, come back and recut it.
Okay, so I made the Merry Christmas larger than it should have been. So here's what we're going to do. We're just going to resize it, and then we'll fix that bottom with a new tab. We don't need it to be larger than the snowman, because we'll have the Christmas tree, the snowman, and then the Merry Christmas. Okay, so now that it's resized, we have to ungroup. We have to pull out the writing, otherwise it'll take on the score. So let's grab a new tab and see if it'll just cover this one up. Going to make it a width of 10 and a height of 3. And we're just going to grab it and try to pull it up like so. And then shift, select your backdrop, do a vertical align, and then go over and hit weld. Okay, that should do it. We can bring our Merry Christmas back. And let me straighten it up a little bit more. Then we can group it back together and recut that. And with Lightburn, only the item selected will go to the laser. You can check that by doing a preview up here, and it'll show you what's going to the laser. Okay, so let me get back to the laser, and we will cut Merry Christmas out again and see what this looks like. Okay, folks, I'll be right back.
Okay, now let me get this together and we'll see what it looks like. I'll be back shortly. Okay, well here's our final product. Turned out pretty good. Let me see if I can get it closer. So I'll put these vectors, the links down in the description, and you can go get these and many more and try your own. Give me some tips on how to make it better if you have any. You can put different characters on here. You can make the sled and the characters larger, smaller, whatever you like. Whatever makes you happy, do that. So we'll have some more Christmas stuff out soon, hopefully. So check back often for new videos. I really appreciate you folks watching, helping the channel grow. I enjoy doing these projects, so I'm going to do as many of them as I can. So y'all take care. We'll see you next time. Thank you.